Hey guys, my name is Sanjay and this is the Engineer Wannabe YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me, and today we're going to be doing a review of one of my favorite watches of all time. That would be the Zenith A384 Revival. So this is a recreation of a vintage watch from 1969. We'll talk about that a bit more, but it is by far one of the nicest watches that I think exists out there. And well, I shouldn't say that. In my comfort level of price, it's one of the nicest watches I think that exists out there. Before we get started, let me tell you first that you are infinitely valuable. I appreciate you and I'm grateful for you. There is no replacing you. Wherever you may be in life, I just want you to know that you are infinitely valuable. And I'm also going to do a wristwatch check. I am wearing the Grand Seiko SBGY003. This is my most favorite watch of all time. So this is the pinnacle of my collection, I guess. And I am very grateful to own it. I have it on a deluxe strap right now. And yeah, it's a great piece. Great piece. But we're not going to talk about this guy. We're going to talk about the Zenith. So let's flip the camera and do that. Okay guys, so here it is. This is the A384 Revival. The story goes that this watch was one of 3 watches that came out with the El Primero movement, which debuted in 1969. It was the first integrated automatic chronograph movement. That's a mouthful, a lot of qualifiers there. It might even be the first automatic chronograph movement, but that is debatable. I think a lot of people disagree with that. Regardless, it is probably the first integrated automatic chronograph. Let's talk about the dimensions of this watch. If you do want to learn more about the history, there are so many other videos out there that you can enjoy. I'm really not the guy for that. But let's talk about the dimensions here. This is a 37 millimeter, I guess, diameter watch. You can't really measure diameter here, but I'm gonna say diameter. It is 12.8 millimeters thick to my calipers. Its lug to lug is 47 millimeters, and this is a weird and quirky lug width at 19.4 millimeters. Now that's really strange, but I think that's an interesting, and it turned out to be a benefit for me, a pro, because I'm able to easily fit 20 millimeter straps, much like this one here, without any bending or creasing or damage to the strap itself. I'm able to do that quite easily, and I'm able to put in 19 millimeter straps without seeing spring bar. You might see a sliver of a spring bar, but it is, for my preference, my persnicketiness, I'm okay with it. So I get the benefit of using my 19 mil straps and my 20 mil straps. So I'm really happy about that. I didn't know that I needed a 19.4, 19.5 millimeter lug width watch in my life, but apparently I do. This has a sapphire crystal on the front and the back. As you can see, it's got a beautiful panda style dial. The part that I love a lot the most about this is probably the finishing. The finishing is exquisite. You can see that you've got a sunray brushing pattern here on the top, which is very deep and defined, well defined. I really enjoy that. And you've got high polished accents. So you got a bevel here at the top, a beautiful high polished bevel. You got a beautiful high polished lugs. Some may find that to be a con, and as you can see, I've got a few scuffs in there from just everyday life. I think a lot of this is lost in another one of my favorite A384 style watches, the Zenith Defy Shadow. You lose all this incredible finishing, which is ultimately why, even though I kind of prefer the blacked out look, that's still super legible, you lose all this incredible finishing, machine finished, of course, but incredible finishing characteristics on that watch, because it's all bead blasted all over, including the pushers. Everything is just bead blasted, and I think this is the sweet spot. You get to enjoy this finishing and enjoy a lot of this eye candy here. Let's talk about a bit about this movement. This is the caliber 400 movement. It is an interesting one if you're not familiar with it, because the outermost position of the crown is actually the way you change the date. Intermediate position, so one pull out, that is where you adjust the hands. So just be careful if you do purchase this, because you might end up accidentally adjusting the date. That is something to keep an eye out about. The finishing is very, very nice, I would say. Well, a couple of quirks I've neglected to mention is the fact that this, like I mentioned before, is the caliber 400 El Primero. That means the seconds do not hack. That might be something of concern for you, so you should probably be aware of that. This does not have hacking seconds. So accuracy is a big question mark here for me. I've never had the need to, or felt the need to adjust the time. So I basically roughly guesstimate how accurate it is, and it is probably around 2 to 3 seconds a day. But I haven't had any issues with accuracy. I haven't looked at my watch. I think the longest period that I wore this was 2 weeks. I never felt like it was a minute over, minute too fast, minute too slow during those 2 weeks, that 2 week stretch from when I set it. You can try to back hack it by twisting the crown back. I just set the time to the closest minute ahead, and I'm really happy with that. So just keep that in mind. No hacking seconds. Another thing I should mention is that this watch is 75 grams. Its weight is 75 grams. I didn't mention that earlier. So now you know. You can see a column wheel right there, and it's blued. It's really really nice to look at, and I do appreciate everything Zenith did in making all those things visible for us, and in keeping the thickness quite low at 12.8 millimeters for chronograph. That's impressive as well. So let's go ahead and put this on my wrist. I'm going to take off my watch of the day. So my wrist is a 6¼ inches in circumference, 16 centimeters in metric. There you go. It still wears kind of big. I've got a small wrist, but I think this is very nice on my wrist. I really enjoy it. It's a bit of optical illusion here going on, as it looks like it's overhanging, but I assure you it does not. Not that it matters. But anyway, it is a beautiful watch to wear. Very pleasurable to operate the chronograph if you do feel like doing it. It has, on the strap especially, it has a very racing vibe to it. So if I'm driving and I want to time myself getting to work or something, it's kind of fun to just set the chronograph going, see how long it takes for me to get there, and yeah, just have a blast with it. I think this is just beautiful. It's very different. It's not a watch you see every day, and it has this very eccentric case, bezel-less design, and it is kind of a tonneau shape, but at the same time it has a circular profile to it, so it doesn't look like a Frank Muller, but it kind of has this. It's just different, and it's very pleasing to see. You can see that minute hand or the minute counter tick over there. I do enjoy the fact that this counts the hours as well as the minutes. The 1/10 of a second El Primero that comes in the Chronomaster Sport, that one does not have an hour counter. I'm not sure if you prefer that or not, but something to think about. This one has an hour counter. Other than that, a couple of quirks. This will do the infamous minute hand jump. So it is to do with the date. So if I'm changing the date, and if I decide to change the date after I set the time, it will, once I'm done changing the date, and if I push the crown back in, it will make the minute hand jump, and it is really annoying, really frustrating. So I'm not sure if every model does that, every El Primero caliber 400 does that, but it is something to keep in mind. you know, maybe set the date first before setting your time. I just wanted to mention that it does come in a ladder bracelet, a vintage style ladder bracelet, and it's really true to its origins. They have not updated it in any way that I can think of or know of, because it has a stamped clasp, stamped swing arm, and it has that rattly feeling, which translates to a very comfortable wear, period accurate look. But it is definitely not for me. I did not enjoy the look of that. It's a brushed bracelet, and of course the lugs here, the lugs are polished, and when they are brushed, when the bracelet is brushed, it just looks really out of place to me. I don't quite understand why the community really enjoys it. Maybe it's a nostalgia thing, but I really don't like the look of the ladder bracelet. Just think about the finishing mismatch here. It might not matter to you at all. You might actually find that look endearing. But other than that, guys, this has been a really incredible watch to own. I am looking forward to seeing where this goes with me. If this is a keeper, I'm not going to answer. I want to say it's a keeper, but I have got in trouble for doing that in the past, and you know, letting a watch move on. It's a beautiful watch. It's a really incredible piece. I'm really happy to own it. Let me know what you guys think. Would you guys pick this one, or would you pick the A386 variant, one of those variants, like the Chronomaster original, or even the Caliber 400 A386 Revival? Let me know what you think. All right, guys, so that's it. Those are my thoughts on the A384 Revival. So take care, stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.